wants to be king!
A couple days ago, I got a message in the middle of the night from one of the young athletes who trains at my gym, and he said that if I was up, that I needed to check out this guy named Sneeko. And in his opinion, Sneeko sounds like me in a younger version. And so the next day, I got up, got on my laptop, and looked up Sneeko. And the first thing that I saw was a short video clip, I guess from one of his podcasts, whatever the thing is where he goes out and he speaks to people. And the one that I saw was more politically leaning, and I had to agree with what I saw. So I sent my little dude a message back and said, it sounds like this kid's sniffing down the right trail. Well, the algo thought that I was interested in hearing more of what Mr. Sneeko had to say, and the next day I get a suggestion, and there's a video where this kid was debating Abba from Abba and Preach. I'm not sure exactly what it was because I couldn't ingest the whole video. But what I did notice was some of the stuff that changes the manosphere the most. It happens with two guys that aren't really involved. Abba and Preach aren't really involved in this whole red pill manosphere space. They just do commentary on things, and most of the time they just point out buffoonery. But in this instance, this was Abba was trying to have a conversation with this overly passionate kid, and watching this exchange, listening to some of the things that this kid said, it made my stomach turn. Not just listening to the ignorance, but the fact that my young dude thought that this guy was an echo of what I was when I was a kid. And it made me feel sick to my stomach, and it also angered me very, very deeply. And in that anger, I realized that the reason why it was burning so deeply is because I probably was worse than Mr. Sneeko when I was a kid. And it wasn't because I was so certain, it was because I was lost. I was insecure as fuck. And I was really trying to be accepted by whoever it was that I was speaking to. And so in that instance, I had to take what I was watching, what I was hearing, and I had to realize that I was listening to a young boy trying to step into the realm of manhood. And what I was hearing was more of the reverberations that I've spoken about in the past, the toxicity that is inherent in this space. And a couple of the points that really hit home are what I want to talk about here. In this video, you could tell that Mr. Sneeko is still thinking with this ding dong. Like everything that this kid's about is women, getting money so he can get women and be like his idol, Andrew Tate. Now, I agree with probably 90% or better of what Andrew Tate says. His message is pretty on point, but he's a human being. And like all human beings, he's got faults and he's full of shit, like all of us are. And so to hold this man up as some sort of idol, hold any man up as an idol, to me is that's what children do. Children have heroes. Men have mentors. And if your mentor is a legal pimp, you're not a leader. You're not a leader of men. You're going to be a leader of a small group of small-minded men who put women on a pedestal without really unpacking all of that. Now, I don't mean any disrespect towards what Tate does, who Tate is, or how he moves, but I'm a man of truth, and the way that I look at this is this way. If you get a bunch of women to sign on to this program of you stay in my house, you do what I say, you don't do anything outside of what I say you can do, but I get to go do whatever I want to do. It doesn't matter what those women look like. If a woman is willing to subjugate herself to being just one of many, then in my opinion, that woman is a piece of shit. She's a loser. We put so much emphasis on what people look like, on what women look like Amber Heard. We're willing to look past all of the faults and all of the demons and negativity that women have, as long as they're willing to pretend like they're submissive to us and lay down with us when we want to and make us feel like a king. There's no real litmus test for reality. And then men find themselves in this space whining and crying and blaming women. Women who are willing to go along with that program are not high-value women. They're high-value prostitutes. And not knocking anyone's hustle. I've hustled before. And what I chose to do, it wasn't legal. And I paid the price, and I don't blame anybody for anything I did, but I don't call what I did being a pharmaceutical rep. So I'm just calling this for what it is. Those women are basically literal call girls and homies pimping. And the idea that a man's life is pushing two bitches out of my bed and doing all this because that's childish bullshit. Idealizing Hugh Hefner, a man for all intents and purposes was an extreme pedo. That's not someone to aspire to be. But if that's what you want to do, cool, man, cool. If that's what you want to do, but don't run around acting like that's what men are about. Because what men are really about, what makes men happy, is finding a woman who he can marry and have children and raise a family with. But in this space, that's taboo. That's something that can never happen because all the sad little men who have been married and divorced, oh, she took all of my stuff, and all of these super alphas now that have been dogged in the past now want men, young boys and men, to believe that marriage is absolutely for fools and buffoons, and the real way to do it is to get the bag and push bitches out of the bed. Don't give up on your nuts, son. Listening to this kid talk to a grown man about how laying up with women never gets old and trying to demean Abba's maturity, it was hard. It was hard to watch. It shows the ignorance of these kids' leaders. When you deify people like Fresh and Fit, Rich Cooper, even Andrew Tate, when you deify other men and listen to what they're saying like it's some sort of gospel and pull off the rituals that they said, this is what you got to do. You got to, after you sleep with her, don't talk to her. You treat her like shit, son. And all of these stupid, juvenile metrics to see whether a woman likes you or not, see whether or not she's worthy. And these men wonder why they keep getting game, keep getting played, keep finding themselves in the same thing over and over again. And then they go right back to the source of their problems, listening to these dorks like Rolo and all of these losers who are telling you, you gotta do this because they're doing that. These men, most of these men, don't have any experience. Rolo doesn't have any experience dealing with women. He's married to a woman that no man in this space would find attractive, even at her best time. And it's not knocking, but what does that man know about dealing with women other than watching real players in the game and taking notes? Having money doesn't make you a man. It makes you able to provide things, it makes you able to purchase things, but it doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you a man. It doesn't prove anything other than you're industrious. You have the ability to make money, but what do you do with that money? What makes you a man? Is it your Lambo? Is it your sack? Is it the digits that you got in your checkbook? See, these children are being learned that the external things, the cars, the muscles, the things that will come to pass, things that can be taken away, things that can be lost, those are the metrics to be measured by. That's what you measure your manhood by. It couldn't be further from the truth. It could not be further from the truth. What makes you a man is the thing that you are left with when everything else is being stripped away. When everything else is taken away from you, that's what you are as a man. Because a real man would be able to go get everything that everything that was taken away from him, he'd be able to go get it. We've got a massive problem in this space where the most toxic voices have been catapulted to the forefront, while those of us who speak about personal responsibility and true masculinity have to fight from the shadows. I'm okay with that. I've always known that my channel wasn't going to be massive because my story, my tale, my program is very simple. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll show you where to look to find it. I'm not going to give you anything, but I'll show you where to look to make it. That's what men do. One of the other things that was very problematic in Mr. Cinco, whatever his name is, in his rhetoric was that he feels like standing on his soapbox and crying about the Matrix and all the things, the injustices in the world, because he's got this platform and he's on TikTok and I got 1 billion views on my TikTok. This metric, this worldly metric about value and worth. He thinks that whining and crying and being a social justice sissy, being just as loud and obnoxious and ignorantly certain as the femmes and the rest of the idiots that are given such a platform today, that's doing something to change. All you're doing is making a louder echo in this chamber where you're just talking to people who are listening to you because they want to hear you speak. But when Abba suggested that kid get off his soapbox and go into his local community and actually do something, his reaction was, it was sad at best. The idea that going and helping someone in his own community wasn't good enough because it was passing soup to homeless people, which is an easy out. It's a coward's out. This new generation thinks, this participation trophy generation, thinks that just because people are listening to them that they've got something to say. They think that just because their voice is being pushed forward that they must be important. The problem is everybody wants to be viral. Everybody wants to get the 1 billion views on TikTok rather than go in the community and change the life of one person, one child, one old person, one human being that you can actually see, that you can actually touch. Their reality is external in this fantasy world where they can live like this guy, and they're watching dudes that are pretending to be something that they're not. We've got a massive problem in our society because there's no real male leadership, and those boys that these other boys are listening to are feeding them regurgitated toxicity, poison. At my age, I'm old enough to have listened and heard feminism take its root in our society, the things that women said about men in totality. And now the leaders in this space are saying the same thing. I recently saw Andrew Tate try to squirm his way out of a conversation where he stuck his foot up his own ass, and his response was, my reality. My reality. The same thing that delusional women say when trying to justify their aberrations in life. This space is starting to become exactly what the femme space was, and it's breeding the same sort of toxicity that thing did. And now we've got a culture that's preaching that young boys go and do the very thing that made women the worthless thoughts that they are today. They want to have it both ways, just like the delusional women they talk about. This is the message to any of the fans of Sneeko who might have clicked on this video. If you're a young dude and you want to find your way in life, it would behoove you to find a real man to listen to. Don't listen to another little boy regurgitate something. Well, a rule in life that my grandfather taught me: anybody that talks real fast is usually trying to sell you some bullshit. Listening to this kid speak so fluently with his ignorance, his regurgitating of Homo Tomasi's framing of all the things that he believes, sprinkled with Andrew Tate and his Fresh and Fit, is an indication that there's so much work still to be done. But the damage has already been done to the psyche of these young men because they believe that what they're watching, what they're hearing, are the echoes of real men. If you want to become a real man, find a real man that will guide you toward the path of becoming one.
wants to be king!